Hi guys, welcome back to another air gun video. Today we're going to look at the EDgun Matador R3M, a gun that I've covered before, but this one has got some significant changes to it. First off, I'm very excited. This is the first R3M that's been offered in the short version in 25 caliber. The short version has been available ever since the R3M came out in 22, but this is the first year that the 25 is offered. So I'm excited about that because I think the size of the gun is really user-friendly, and it's fun, light, and easy to shoot. The only real difference between the short and the other versions is the short has a shorter barrel and a smaller air tube, but the moderator still stays the same. So to my ear, the sound profile was the same between the short and the standard. Also, there has been some upgrades with the Matador R3M this year in 2016, addressing some of the complaints that many users had over the years about things that were kind of less than user-friendly and needed some improvement. So I thought we would go through some of the upgrades and improvements over this model here, which I dare say maybe even could be called an R3.5M versus the standard R3M. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first thing. If you guys watched my other video, you noticed that my main complaint was the rail here. This is the most ingenious magazine holder on the market, in my opinion. Doesn't really add a lot to the gun. It's simple, easy to use. But if you remember in 25 caliber on my other video, I complained that it only held 3 magazines. And you will see now my complaints have been heard, and yours too, is that for that matter. It now holds 4. Awesome addition to the gun, holding 4 magazines. It always had 4 slots, but this had been designed for the 22 caliber size magazine, so now it holds 4 25 magazines. As we look back to the back of the breech here, we also have a little bit of a change. And if we compare this breech to the older R3, you can see some slight changes in the barrel here. And this is what causes the action, if you can watch, to cycle the magazine. This little cam here is what cycles the magazine. This has been a problem in getting inconsistent pulls. As you can see, when I pull this bolt, the magazine indexer moves all at once. The new one has a little bit different size post. The brass piece is bigger in the middle, and this is lighter and thinner. So as you can see, it moves in a little bit smoother action, and I can tell you from my experience playing with this new gun, I didn't get any skipping. The barrel rotated the equal amount each time, so I think this is a huge improvement for the R3. As we look in the back here, we're going to take a look at the back. For those of you who have ever had to change out a breech O-ring, you know the pain and suffering that air gunners go through to get their magic little fingers into this hole so that you can change out that breech O-ring. O-rings are part of life for a PCP air gunner. You're going to have to change them out eventually. This, as you can see in the back here, this little brass ring unscrews, and behind it sits your O-ring. So now you can just unscrew this little brass piece out and put your O-ring in here. Let me compare that to the older model, and you'll understand the big significant difference. As I grab the older model here and place it in this nice little gun vise that I have. As you can see, this brass ring here, there's a set screw that sits on the bottom. So you have to take a little, it's a 3mm set screw, you unscrew it, and then you have to fight to get this little brass piece out. And the longer it sits inside the breech, the harder it is to get out. So what most people did is just fold the O-ring in half, stick it in there, and pray that it would seat, which about 40% of the time it did. 60% of the time either it blew right out or blew air back in your face, and then you were back to ground zero. So great improvement on that as far as I'm concerned. For a guy who maintains his own air gun, that should make you pretty happy. Moving along to other improvements, as we said, the magazines cycle much cleaner, much simpler, and more positive each time. Part of the reason of that is you can see that the magazine has been upgraded. Now this is the newer plastic magazine. I believe it's better in 2 reasons. Number one, the cogs are more positive, And number two, the magazine is lighter. And I think this gives you a little bit more consistent indexing each time. So great improvement on the magazine. And the best part, the plastic magazines are cheaper. Moving on to the front of the gun. One of the things that I always thought was kind of disappointing in an expensive gun was that after I bought it, I had to find out something to fill my fill hole with. So if you look at my older model, which is sitting over here on the workbench, you can see that I had somebody make a brass dust plug for me. And this was just permanently like this. There was nothing you could do. So the improvement here is that the dust cover is put basically on a jack screw. Now, unlike the Lilia, it doesn't pull off, which I like. I didn't really care for the Lilia system where this entire piece pulled off. So this just opens up on a little screw. The fill hole's shown on the bottom. Tighten it up. And your dust cover's ready to go. Awesome improvement on that as well. If you guys watched my last video, the EDgun 22 versus 25 part 1, you notice that one of my main complaints was the little washer that gets lost if you take this stock on and off. And that has to be done when you tune the gun because the hammer spring tensioner is underneath the trigger, which is hidden inside the stock here. So what you do is when you take this on and off, a lot of times you lost the little washer. The hole where it used to be just wood would get enlarged from taking the screw in and out that holds the stock to the action. So as you can see, one of the major improvements is there's a metal sleeve that goes all the way through and glued in there nice and tight. So that's a huge improvement. So now you can take your stock on and off without fear of damaging your stock because you have a nice metal sleeve here, so it's metal on metal. Awesome improvement there. Underneath the breech here, this is where your regulator sits. The transfer port comes right up here, and there's a brass ring right here. The connection between the brass ring and the transfer port into the top of the action has been improved. As you're looking at this photo, you're basically looking at the back of the action, and where that brass ring sits is the transfer port from the bottom of the action into the breech area. Now that brass ring having a nice tight fit between the transfer port to where it sits on the exhaust port of the regulator is going to give you better shot-to-shot consistency and a lower extreme spread because it's going to prevent air leakage from the transfer port out of the regulator into the breech. So that was a good addition. Now one of the things, if you have an EDgun and you have an extreme spread that you can't figure out why it's jumping all over the place, the two main culprits, as long as your hammer spring tensioner and your regulator are working in harmony and everything's working correctly and you don't have any leaks, one of the things you always need to check is this little brass ring that sits underneath this breech. If that is not perfectly sealed, you're going to get an extreme spread that'll jump all over the place from shot to shot. The other main problem is the breech. So these two parts right here, the breech O-ring and the brass seat, those have been improved as well. So the connection point between the metal piece here and your transfer port has been improved. This new system gives a tighter seal to the transfer port and improves extreme spread. Alright guys, now I'm going to show you how well the new magazine indexing system works and how well the magazine itself works. We're going to go ahead and cycle an entire magazine. And as always, time your first shot. And let's go ahead and do all 9 shots and show you how smooth it is. There you go, all 9 shots, cycled butter smooth, no skipping, big improvement for the Matador. So all in all, I think a really great addition. I love the short, I love the improvements. For a guy who's an EDgun fan, as you guys know I am, these are things that I've wanted Ed to do for a long time. Keep all the stuff that I love and improve the other things. And of course, I'm so happy that this thing now holds 4 magazines. And even in a short. Perfect. So let's go ahead and take it to the field. Let's see how this thing performs in the short, 25. I think you're going to be pleased. And go have some fun. All right, thanks for joining me out in the field today, guys. We're going to take the 25 caliber short EDgun Matador, gun that, as you know, I'm super excited about, and we're going to try to shoot 100-yard targets on paper, see how it groups. I do have a little bit of wind. It's not too bad today, but it's enough it's going to wreak me some havoc because it's not consistent, but I'm just complaining. At any rate, I love this gun. I think it's the right length. I'm really excited about it. We're going to shoot some eggs at 250 yards. We'll see if I can hit them, and then maybe have a little bit more fun. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I hope you guys enjoy this field portion of the 25 caliber EDgun short review. I'm just going to start with 100 yards on this test. I'm not going to really bother with the 50-yard targets anymore. It just kind of wastes video time, and you guys all know these guns can shoot 50 yards. The real question is, how close can you get to MOA at 100 yards with a little short bullpup? So let's go ahead and give this one a test at 100 yards and then move on to our eggs. This is that moment you wish could last forever, but you know it's going to end. That perfect 3-shot group. You know no one's going to be satisfied with a 3-shot group, and you have to shoot at least 5, 7, or even 9, but it's not going to get better. So at this moment I should blame the wind, or the sun was in my eyes, a bug flew on me, there's a flyer, magic pellet, whatever, but I definitely lose this tight group. Okay, so that was, I don't know how many shots, but somebody called out the 5-shot group and said it wasn't appropriate anymore, so I want to accommodate everyone. So I went ahead and took, I don't know, I think it was maybe 12 shots. I'll have to go back at the video and see when I start editing. I had such a great group going. I know you guys can appreciate this and feel bad for me. You saw those first 3 shots, and I thought, oh man, this is going to be awesome. And then I got a wind shift. Thus is the life of an air gunner. So, nothing to complain about. I'm trying to show a little potential accuracy of the gun. I think you can appreciate the gun is extremely accurate. It did what it was supposed to do. Every one of those mistakes was mine. So let's go ahead and set up some long-range eggs and see how I do. If we take a look here, that's 100 yards where we're looking at my target right there. And we are going to go, my friends, to the top of this hill right there, and we're going to set up some eggs and see if I can hit eggs at 250 yards with the 25 short. So let's go ahead and set up the next target. I was stressed that my GoPro wasn't recording anymore, so I went up to go check it to make sure it hadn't run out of battery. And when I did, I decided to reposition the camera so you can get a better view of the exploding egg. Because my one camera won't zoom this far, and there was no way to prove that I was actually shooting 250 yards, what I'm going to do is pick up my GoPro and walk you back to my shooting table. You're going to see this is quite a walk. As I was walking back from that 250-yard walk, I found two eggs trying to hide out at 125 yards. So I thought I'd do my best to try to get them. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Just for a point of reference, this gun was basically new in box 2 days ago. I hadn't taken it apart nor tuned it. Just shot the first pellets ever shot out of the gun were on film. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. Until the next one, thanks for watching.